Welcome to the Deep Dive. Now, I know the name Karl Marx. Well, it often brings up some really strong reactions for people, right?
Yeah, definitely can. Yeah.
But today, we're going to dive into something maybe a bit unexpected.
Hmm.
We're taking a deep dive into Karl Marx, but not really as a historical figure or, a political ideology you need to sign up for.
Right.
Instead, we're looking at him as a surprisingly potent lens for personal clarity and professional awareness.
Exactly. It's like a tool set.
Yeah, think of it as a way to sharpen your focus on the world around you and your place in it.
Precisely. And Karl Marx, just for a quick refresher, was a German philosopher, economist, historian, quite the polymath, actually, born in 1818.
Right.
He's most famous for co-authoring the Communist Manifesto with Friedrich Engels back in 1848. And, of course, his huge work, Das Kapital.
Huge is right.
Yeah. And at its heart, Marxism offers this really powerful analysis of class struggle, capitalism, how societies evolve based on, material conditions. He looked closely at the dynamic between the bourgeoisie, basically the owners of production capital, and the proletariat, the working class.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Marx did predict capitalism would eventually be replaced by socialism and then a classless, stateless communist society. But our goal today isn't about debating that prediction.
Yeah.
It's really about extracting the practical insights from his philosophical approach for your own personal and professional life.
Yeah.
You honestly don't have to be a Marxist to find real value in his ideas.
And that's exactly what we're aiming for, those key nuggets of knowledge from these sources. Our mission is to show you how you can use Marx's ideas to question what is, maybe imagine what could be, and then act with, more conscious intention in your own life. So let's start with the personal side. How can these concepts shed light on your personal world?
Okay.
First one, consciousness of your role in society. Marx really focused on this thing called class consciousness. Now, for us, it's less about revolution.
Right. Not necessarily political action in that sense.
Exactly. More about deep self-reflection. How do the economic systems, the social systems you're embedded in, how do they subtly shape your choices, your values, even parts of your identity?
It's a really probing question.
It is.
So.
Are you just sort of accepting social norms because, they're just there? Or are you really looking at them? And here's a big one. If you peel back the layers, who actually benefits from your labor, your time, even your attention?
And what's fascinating, I think, is that this isn't about assigning blame or pointing fingers.
No, not at all.
It's about gaining clarity, perspective. It's like an invitation to just pause and notice the invisible threads, the economic, the social currents, connecting your daily stuff to these much bigger structures, understanding where you stand, not just financially, but in the whole social ecosystem. That gives you a really solid foundation for making more deliberate choices, more intentional ones.
Yeah, and once you start seeing those threads, it often makes you look differently at, say, consumerism, right? Like that shiny new phone you're thinking about. Because Marx had a lot to say about why we're so drawn to those things. Which brings us to the critique of consumerism and his idea of commodity fetishism.
Absolutely. Commodity fetishism.
Yeah.
It sounds complicated, but the core idea is pretty straightforward. Marx argued that under capitalism, we tend to give products this kind of false value.
Okay.
A meaning that goes way beyond what they actually do. Think about like a fancy watch.
Yeah.
It tells time, sure, but becomes a symbol, right? Status, success, maybe even identity.
Yeah.
And the fetish part is because we sort of forget all the human labor, the resources, the whole complex process that went into making it.
Right.
We just see the object itself, almost like it has these magical qualities baked in.
It's like we're buying the idea of the thing, not just the thing itself. I saw this ad recently for like a plain white t-shirt, but because it had a tiny designer logo, it was hundreds of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Marx would probably have a field day with that, wouldn't he?
He absolutely would. It's a perfect example. You're buying the brand's aura, the story, not the cotton and thread, really.
Exactly.
And connecting this back for you, the listener, recognizing this commodity fetishism can actually be incredibly freeing.
Oh, so?
Well, it helps you see through some of the marketing, maybe reduce impulse buying, that kind of overconsumption. And more deeply, it lets you shift your focus from just getting more stuff to valuing actual human experiences, meaningful relationships, the quality of your life itself, really. It's about putting meaning back into your life, not just into objects.
That makes a lot of sense. And then there's another concept, one that I think resonates maybe painfully sometimes with so many of us today, authenticity and alienation.
Yes, alienation.
It feels like even in jobs people find rewarding, there can still be this deep disconnect sometimes, a feeling of just going through the motions. Marx called this alienation, right? How did he see it happening? And what does it look like now?
Yeah, he argued that under capitalism, workers can become profoundly alienated, separated, not just from the products they make.
Wow.
Often they never even see the final result,
Right.
but also from the actual process of working. It becomes just a means to an end, not fulfilling in itself. Then, alienated from fellow workers, may be due to competition,
Okay.
and maybe most importantly, alienated from their own authentic selves, what he called their species being, their human potential.
Wow. So you become like a cog in a machine.
That's exactly the metaphor he often used,
Yeah.
detached from the real meaning of your efforts. So this raises a really crucial question for you listening. Are you truly connected to what you do every day? Or do you feel that detachment, that lack of purpose maybe? Applying this idea of alienation, it encourages you to look hard at those feelings and then actively seek ways to reconnect with your passions, your real interests. Find relationships, activities where you feel valued as a whole person.
Yeah.
Not just for your output or how productive you are, where your intrinsic worth matters.
That's really powerful for personal reflection. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's explore how these ideas apply in your professional life first. Understanding power dynamics at work.
Right. So Marx pushes us to look beyond, just job titles or the org chart.
Okay.
He asks us to look at the actual mechanisms of control. He talked about who controls the means of production. Now, in a modern office, that might not be a literal factory.
Sure.
It could be who owns the key software, the intellectual property, who controls the algorithms, who holds the crucial data, who commands the financial resources. Recognizing that deeper means of production power, it can really change how you see things.
How so?
Well, it can change how you negotiate your value, for instance. You start seeing your labor not just as something you trade for a wage, but as a direct contribution to generating capital, often for someone else.
Okay, that's a powerful frame. But someone listening might think, well, isn't that just kind of common sense? Or maybe something you'd learn in business school about leverage. How does Marx's specific framework really deepen that?
That's a fair question. I think it's deeper. Because Marx doesn't just describe power. He analyzes its roots, its origins in the economic system itself, and how that structure inherently creates, or can create, systematic imbalances.
Okay.
He highlights how the value created by labor often isn't fully returned to the laborer. So it's not just noticing, oh, there's a boss. It's understanding why that specific power dynamic exists and how it functions within the whole capitalist structure. It helps you see the invisible levers, maybe.
I see. Okay. And speaking of levers, another key thing for Marx is the power of empowerment through collaboration. He was a big believer in collective action, right? People coming together.
Absolutely, a core tenet.
Yeah.
And you can apply this in your own work life, maybe by advocating for fairer practices within your company or supporting initiatives that focus on collective well-being, things like unions, perhaps, if that aligns with your values. Or sometimes it's simpler, just consciously fostering a spirit of genuine cooperation over that kind of cutthroat competition we sometimes see. Collaboration, viewed through this lens, isn't just nice teamwork. It can be a tool for challenging existing power structures. And, honestly, it can also lead to way more personal fulfillment and just a healthier place to work.
Which leads pretty naturally into ethical decision-making in your professional life. If Marxism, at its core, promotes this vision of fairness and social equity systemically, how can that filter down to individual choices at work?
Well, it's about letting those principles, fairness, equity, consciously guide your professional decisions.
Okay.
So maybe it influences where you choose to work in the first place, or if you're in a leadership role, how you lead your team, who you choose to do business with as a client or a partner, just consciously trying to align your actions with a vision of fairness. It can shape a more purposeful career. It's about choosing to build, or at least support, systems that feel more just, even in small ways.
Right. And finally, let's talk about something that feels incredibly relevant today. Work-life balance as a form of resistance. It really feels like the system demands constant productivity, doesn't it? More output all the time. What would Marx make of, just resting or finding joy?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because from this perspective, you can view your personal time, your well-being, as something to be fiercely protected.
Okay.
Not something to just trade away or feel guilty about. Marx's analysis suggests the system inherently demands more and more from you, from your labor power.
Yeah, that feels true.
So therefore, actively choosing to rest,
Yeah.
to find joy, to simply not be productive in the economic sense every single moment, that can actually be seen as a kind of radical act, a small rebellion against that relentless demand.
Wow, framing rest as radical. I like that.
It encourages you to value your own labor, your own time accurately, to set firm boundaries, and maybe most importantly, to avoid internalizing that guilt for just being human. Not just an economic unit churning out output.
So there you have it. Who knew digging into Karl Marx could offer such surprising, practical tools for navigating modern life?
Right.
We've seen how his philosophical approach, his way of looking at the world, can really give you some powerful lenses without needing to sign up for the whole political program.
That really is the main takeaway. You don't have to be a Marxist to find profound value in Marx's ideas. His lens can genuinely help you question assumptions, imagine different possibilities, and then choose your actions with more awareness, conscious intention.
Yeah.
And hey, if you found these insights useful, maybe consider digging a bit deeper yourself. Think about how focusing more on the material conditions shaping your life, or maybe exploring the different subtle forms of alienation you might encounter.
Yeah.
How that could apply even more specifically in your work, your relationships, maybe even community engagement.
Lots to think about there. We really hope this deep dive has given you some fresh perspectives to take with you.
Yeah.
Go out and apply them in your own life, your own work. And we'll see you next time.